As a building block in the self-reliant India story, JSPL succeeds when India grows. JSPL, contributing towards self-reliant India, humbly serving the nation.
JSW Steel is aiding growth in building the infrastructure that keeps the nation's heart throbbing. From steel that holds bridges and skyscrapers to steel that builds the railway coursing through the land, JSW Steel is the one name that does it all and stands strong.
As a building block in the self-reliant India story, JSPL succeeds when India grows. JSPL, contributing towards self-reliant India, humbly serving the nation.
JSW Steel is aiding growth in building the infrastructure that keeps the nation's heart throbbing. From steel that holds bridges and skyscrapers to steel that builds the railway coursing through the land, JSW Steel is the one name that does it all and stands strong.
Go to mymetalogic.com. On the top left, click on Subscribe. Click on Subscribe now. You are now on the card page of Metalogic subscription. Quantity refers to number of months. Change it to from 1 to 12. Click on Update card. The subscription amount will be calculated on number of months selected. For 1 month, it is 500 rupees. For 12 months, it is 6,000 rupees. Click on Proceed to check out. Fill the billing details and click on Place Order. Now you can choose your mode of payment. You have just made a right choice. Thank you for subscribing to mymetalogic.com.
As a building block in the self-reliant India story, JSPL succeeds when India grows. JSPL, contributing towards self-reliant India, humbly serving the nation.
JSW Steel is aiding growth in building the infrastructure that keeps the nation's heart throbbing. From steel that holds bridges and skyscrapers to steel that builds the railway coursing through the land, JSW Steel is the one name that does it all and stands strong.
As a building block in the self-reliant India story, JSPL succeeds when India grows. JSPL, contributing towards self-reliant India, humbly serving the nation.
JSW Steel is aiding growth in building the infrastructure that keeps the nation's heart throbbing. From steel that holds bridges and skyscrapers to steel that builds the railway coursing through the land, JSW Steel is the one name that does it all and stands strong.
As a building block in the self-reliant India story, JSPL succeeds when India grows. JSPL, contributing towards self-reliant India, humbly serving the nation.
JSW Steel is aiding growth in building the infrastructure that keeps the nation's heart throbbing. From steel that holds bridges and skyscrapers to steel that builds the railway coursing through the land, JSW Steel is the one name that does it all and stands strong.
As a building block in the self-reliant India story, JSPL succeeds when India grows. JSPL, contributing towards self-reliant India, humbly serving the nation.
JSW Steel is aiding growth in building the infrastructure that keeps the nation's heart throbbing. From steel that holds bridges and skyscrapers to steel that builds the railway coursing through the land, JSW Steel is the one name that does it all and stands strong.
As a building block in the self-reliant India story, JSPL succeeds when India grows. JSPL, contributing towards self-reliant India, humbly serving the nation.
JSW Steel is aiding growth in building the infrastructure that keeps the nation's heart throbbing. From steel that holds bridges and skyscrapers to steel that builds the railway coursing through the land, JSW Steel is the one name that does it all and stands strong.
As a building block in the self-reliant
Good afternoon, namaskar, hello, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Monica Bachchan. I'm a founder of Metalogic Projects Management Services. It is a maximum women staff organization. I'll start this program with our sponsors advertisement.
As a building block in the self-reliant India story, JSPL succeeds when India grows. JSPL, contributing towards self-reliant India, humbly serving the nation.
JSW Steel is aiding growth in building the infrastructure that keeps the nation's heart throbbing. From steel that holds bridges and skyscrapers to steel that builds the railway coursing through the land, JSW Steel is the one name that does it all and stands strong.
Presenting you webinar on India-Russia bonding for future steel tech and raw material security webinar sponsored by JSPL, RJ Steel and JSW Steel Limited. This is our 41 webinar during COVID-19 pandemic. I hope you have gained an insight from our last webinar on Indian ports for raw material and steel held on 28th October. The recording of that webinar is available on Metalogic PMS YouTube channel. Please do not miss to subscribe. This webinar is currently live on youtube.com/metallogicpms. In case you find any difficulty on GoToWebinar, please watch this program on our YouTube. Viewers, I like to make a mention that Metalogic has come up with a new portal, mymetalogic.com. So all the webinars are being documented, converted into a report format. You can easily find all post webinars reports on mymetalogic.com. Please do not miss to subscribe at 500 rupees per month basis. Viewers, we have recently launched a book on metallurgical coke making in India, written by Mr. Tarun Chatterjee. If you like to purchase any book related to steel and mining, please do visit mymetalogic.com. Just a short housekeeping before we get started. If you have any question during the panel discussion, please type them into the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel. I'll bring them up during the presentation, and we will also have questions at the end. Always mention your company name and organization which you are representing and who would you like to address your question to. We will also be having few audience poll. So watch the program very carefully until the end because your vote matters. Before we start, I would like to give a little brief about the session to you all. Russia and India share a special and privileged strategic partnership owing to the Burmese shared by the country's respective leaders, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Putin. The bilateral relationship has been further growth and development in the recent years. Traditionally, the Indo-Russia strategic partnership has been built on 5 major components: politics, defense, civil nuclear energy, anti-terrorism, cooperation, and space. However, the bilateral trade in key value chain sector like industrial, metal, automobile, shipping, raw material, etc., has also been a driving factor in strengthening the cooperation between the two countries. Indian steel sector, looking to diversify its raw material sourcing and attaining advanced steel technology, has now anchored in Russia to harness its strength. Coking coal is an important area for Indian steel companies who import about 85% of their coking coal demand from various countries. The cooperation with Russia will help India reduce its dependency so far located countries like Australia, South Africa, Canada, and the US for sourcing of coking coal. It has also reduced per ton cost of steel production as Russia is geographically closer compared to some other countries. Similarly, adopting and contributing to research in some of the latest technologies of Russian steel making and advancing its hydrogen and natural gas for sustainability and green steel will definitely progress this India-Russia cooperation in the coming years. In today's program, we will be discussing from the perspective of steel making coal, which we can import, R&D of the two countries in advanced iron and steel technologies offered by Russia. Now I leave the floor to our expert panelists to discuss. Today, our expert panelists are starting from our guest of honor, Ms. Rasika Chaube, IAS, Additional Secretary at Ministry of Steel, Government of India. We have Mr. Akhil Prakash, Indian representative of IP Bardin, Moscow. Dr. Mukesh Kumar, Director, SRTMI. On behalf of Mr. V.R. Sharma, we have Mr. Arunesh Bharti from Jindal Steel and Power Limited. Mr. Pankaj Satija, Executive Director, Tata Steel Mining Limited. Mr. Gajendra P. Singh, Senior VP and Group Head, Corporate and Regulatory Affairs at JSW Group. And I'm your moderator. Please give me a moment. So Rasika ma'am has also joined us. I would like to welcome you, madam. Ma'am, are you able to hear me? Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, Monica, I can hear you very clearly. Thanks.
So to start the session, I would like to welcome Ms. Rasika Chaube, IAS Additional Secretary, Ministry of Steel, Government of India, to open the session with the thought, Madam, last month, the Indian delegation visited Russia for the corporation, and there had been MOU signing. We would like to know from you what is the roadmap for Indian steel industry with regards to this tie-up for coal and steel technology map.
Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, I would like to thank Monica for organizing this session. I think, and most of the panelists who are sitting here were the ones who went with us with the Steel Ministry, along with the Honorable Minister, and they were a part of the delegation. In fact, they have been a part of the other delegations also, Mr. Pankaj Satija and others, who've been going as a part of the Steel Ministry delegation. Now, the reason, let me just give a brief background, though I think most of you are aware, maybe for the benefit of those who are not been actively involved in this. Now, this process has been going on since the last 1 year. And in fact, in March 2021 is when we took up with the government that we would want to enter into an MOU with the Russian counterpart. Now, the main reason why we did this was that, as you mentioned, that Russia has been our strategic partner in various sectors, defense being one of them, and various other sectors. And in case of steel, also they have been very actively involved. Many of our steel plants have been made by the Russian with their collaboration. So now the reason we thought of taking this further is, as you mentioned yourself, is that as of now we are importing, I mean, the total requirement of coking coal that we have in steel making, which is 42% of the total steel making cost. Now that as of now is 51 million ton was imported last year out of the 62 million ton which was totally consumed. That means only 10 million ton is indigenous, rest is all imported. And when we see the classification, out of that 39 million ton, that is around 40 million ton was from Australia, then came US, then Canada and South Africa, Mozambique and other countries. So now what was, and another thing which was coming to our light when came to our notice when we interacted with IHS market, and that while we are buying a mid-wall coke, we are paying for a low-wall coke. That means we are paying around $6 to $7 more every time we purchase the coke from Australia, simply because there was a monopoly. So it was then that our Honorable Minister there then thought of diversification. So not only would a strategic component like this be diversified in terms of risk, but also it would be beneficial to the industry in terms of cost. It was with this in mind that the minister had made several visits and dialogues took place. And finally, it was decided that around 10 million ton could be easily made available to the Indian industry, and thereafter we could go up to 40. And that is exactly what has been signed in the MOU. It's a non-binding MOU. It doesn't really, there's no compulsion, but yet in terms of cost, if it's beneficial, then people can. So that was one. Second thing, logistics, yes. As you mentioned, logistically it is closer, but yes, we still have to work out with the Russian government whether they would give us some more discounts in terms of, because the railhead to the port, that itself is a huge distance. So if they can give us some discount in terms of the volumes that we are going to offer to them, which they have agreed. The railway, the officials from the railways were here with us. They had a round of discussion with us, what kind of discounts they can offer to us and what kind of facilities they can offer to us and make it exclusive for the steel players. And also which port we should use, whether the ports on the western side or on the eastern side, because because after talking to the people who participated with us, going through the eastern side would be definitely cheaper for us, whereas Russians are more keen that we use the ports on the western front. So all these are issues which are being carried out. Apart from that, a second part which we thought could help the steel players is that if we could interact with IP Bardin, Sharma, which is their technological institute, and we could identify certain areas which we could collaborate with them. Now, all the steel players showed a lot of interest, and I must say JSW, Tata's, along with SAIL and RNL and JSPL, all of them listed out a large number of areas, which I think they'll share with you as the panel moves on. And all those areas were, we had a one-to-one meeting with IP Bardin and the entire team, wherein our individual players presented their papers, but not papers, they presented their respective areas where they would like to collaborate. And now we are at a stage that Sharma is keen to have another non-binding MOUs with the steel players directly. So we are looking at if we are able to sign some MOUs. SAIL is also looking at it, JSW is looking at it, Tata's, JSPL, all of them. Instead, they also want to collaborate. They want to understand from us how do we utilize the coal ash which emerges. So that's one area they want to collaborate from us, how we can make bricks out of that, how we are utilizing. So our many of our steel players are very keen to offer those collaborations to the Russian side from on behalf of India. And so basically what collaboration we are looking at from the Russians is coking coal on one hand and technological collaboration. So these are the areas where we thought we would start with. So that is the initial take. And what government wants to do is wherever these players are stuck, I mean, it's an open offer to everyone and they are fully aware of that. That Ministry of Steel, along with the mission abroad in Moscow, is more than keen to iron out any problems which you have. So the roadmap which we have with us is, yes, we would want you all to import more from there, number one, whether it's a coking coal, anthracite, PCI, whatever. And we would like you to collaborate and get in technology here in India, maybe for CRGO, maybe for anything. And the PLI scheme is anyways in the offing. So any technology which if you could collaborate with Russia and get it in, we'll be more than happy to facilitate that. So we would be the facilitators, you will be the users and the beneficiaries, and we'll be very happy if steel sector does even better than what it has done this year. So with this, this is what I would like to say as an initial remark, please.
Thank you so much, Rasika ma'am. So before I move on to the next question, I would like to raise a poll to our audience, just to understand what profile we are sitting with today. So audience, the poll question is on your screen. We would like to know, the panel like to know, what is your company profile? Are you a steel manufacturer, or DRI or pellet manufacturer, a mining or material processing or beneficiation, or you represent technology, you are a technology provider or other? So please start voting. So our panel want to know what is your profile, what is your company profile. Please vote very, very quickly. And people watching on YouTube, please start commenting in YouTube section, comment section. There are a lot of people who have already started making their votes. I'm closing down the poll. So if you're able to see the screen, 49% today our audience is the steel manufacturers. Then 26% are other, 10% are DRI pellet manufacturers, 8% from mining and material processing, and 6% are the technology providers. So we understand the profile of our audience today. So moving ahead, I would like to raise, the first question. So the panel has been divided into two parts. We will be taking up industry view, and then we will be taking up technology view. For the industry view, I'm raising the first question. And madam, I would request you can, make your point anytime in between, and I will be asking you some specific question also. So here is the first question. We will start from Mr. Pankaj Satija, then I would be seeking comment from Mr. Gajendra and then Mr. Arunesh Bharti. So the question to Mr. Pankaj Satija is, what is the current status of your organization's trade and investment with Russian companies? And what are the main products or services you are being importing from Russia? And the third part of my question is, India-Russia has signed an MOU for the collaboration in coking coal. So how is it likely to benefit Tata Steel Mining or Tata Steel Limited? Over to you, Pankaj sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Rasika ma'am has given the very nice context of why and how we have gone to Russia. So basically it was for the diversifying the risk. And if you see the simple arithmetic of overall global seaborne trade in coal, Russia accounts for 6.3%. But if you see Russian import to India, it is 1.05%. So in simple arithmetic, if Russia has to be at the global average or India has to be at the global average, then there is a simple arithmetic delta is of 5%, which can be achieved without any further ado. The point here is when we started discussing with Russian coal suppliers, we had certain apprehension because we know that Australian market is very mature and the systems are in place. So we were pretty much sure that in Australian system we have a good predictability of when the vessel will arrive. We have good understanding of predictability of what should be the quality difference if at all it comes, and what would be the price. But when we were going to Russian suppliers, then there were a lot of apprehensions. And one of steel makers in our own discussion was that if we go to Russia and tomorrow's Russia fails, then Australia may not give the coal, and they say that you have gone to Russia, then continue with that, why you are coming back. So these type of apprehensions were also there. And it also reminds me a famous couplet of Dr. Bashir Badr ki main apni hi raah mein diwar ban ke baitha hu, wo aaya bhi to kis raaste aayega. So we thought of, let's break this wall which we are carrying, apprehensions in the English word, what we say. And then we started collaborating with Russian suppliers. For Tata Steel, it was not a very new experience. We have been procuring coal for our Tata Steel Europe operations. We had certain apprehensions for Tata Steel India operations, but then the journey so far has been very good. So coming back to your first question, what is the quantity or the trade has been? So after that discussion, we had trials in our plant. We wanted to break those assumptions that Russian may falter, and they have not so. The quality also, initial 1 or 2 vessels, there were certain issues, but now we are not seeing boulders or other things coming in those vessels, and it is also maturing. We are learning from the incidences, and we are correcting also. So there has been a good feedback and corrections from the Russian side, and I'm pretty much sure that going forward, this will be further better. And they also understand that India is a good market. As I told, that 5% arithmetical delta difference is there. So we had trials in our steel plants in Kalinganagar and others, and the trials were successful. And with that, we have increased the tonnage from Russia. So in terms of quantity, if you can, I just give you some numbers. We were less than 3 in 2021, and we are going to be more than 3 in 2022. And there has been a positive delta improvement in our procurement from Russia, and that includes product basket of anthracite, coking coal, both in lumps and fines, coke breeze. So by and large, the experience has been good, and we also need to give time to Russian suppliers so that they can also overcome the challenges which they are facing. And going forward, I see a very positive and encouraging collaboration between India and Russia in terms of sourcing of coal and as well on technology front. Our discussions in Russia have been very good. I mean, they have been very forthcoming. And I can tell you that with one mail, people from CHERMET, they agreed for a discussions. They try to understand the iron ore and coal formation in India. We all know that Indian coking coal and Indian coal also has a highest percent. And Indian iron ore also has issues of alumina and other deleterious materials. So they had also desired to understand the mineralogical formation, which we had submitted a note to them. And the discussion is on. We see that it will reach to its logical conclusion. And going forward, we see the collaboration will further strengthen. There are certain issues as of now also, but I'm sure the Russian government is working in the logistics chain, one of the port of Vostochny, where they don't get the big size vessel, and sometimes the coal has to be diverted to the western side of Ustulga, which sometimes create a delta freight in increase for the steel makers. But it's an initial journey, and in every journey there are certain hiccups in the beginning, and slowly the system matures. So I'm sure that going forward, the relationship will be further strengthened. Russian suppliers will understand our issues, and they will also correct it. Thank you very
so much, Pankaj, sir. Thank you so much. Gajendra ji, I request you to please unmute yourself. The same questions for you. What is the current status of your organization from the JSW perspective on trade and investment with Russian companies? What are the main products and services you are currently importing from Russia? And with the MOU signing in coking coal, what is the benefit you are looking, as in your organization is seeking? And I would like to add one more question. We will avoid the repetitions. So just to avoid that, I'm adding one more question to you. What are the major disadvantages of dealing with Russia in terms of logistics, cost, weather, or language? How do you deal with them? Gajendra sir, over to you.
So thank you, Monica. First of all, I would like to congratulate you for holding this seminar, because the timing is so appropriate that we are expecting the president of Russian Federation, the next month, probably first week of next month. So the discussion is very apt at the timing. And good afternoon, my fellow panelists, Rasika ma'am, Dr. Mukesh, Pankaj ji, he was with us on the Russia trip, and the panel is Dr. Akhil, IP Bardin, because these are the people who are actually engaging with Russia and getting things moving. So the fantastic panel you have got today. And before I answer your question, I would like to give you background for the people who are listening here. The business delegation, which Honorable Minister C.P. Singh ji led on 13th and 14th October to sign discuss the opportunities and the collaboration in coking coal in steel sector. So the landmark MOU, regarding the collaboration for coking coal sector was signed. And that MOU envisages, implementation of joint projects, commercial activities in coking coal, long-term supply of high-quality coking coal to India, development of coking coal deposits and logistic developments, the sharing of experiences in coking coal production management, technology, mining, verification, and processing, as well as training, etc. So those were, the background of the business delegation, and the MOU was signed. So that's become a little kickstarter. But as Pankaj ji mentioned, that the experience is not new with Russia, and perhaps for Tata Steel and JSW, we have been engaging with them in past as well. So, so generally, on an average, JSW is importing, various types of coal. For example, anthracite, we are importing anthracite, Corex coal. We are also importing Corex coal from Russia, and PCI from Russia. So, and on an average, we have been doing this in the tune of around 2 million ton per year. But this year, perhaps we are increasing it, and I'm expecting this 21-22, we will be having at least 2.5 million ton. This overall import from Russia. Although if you look at this, I mean, in the past, we have also imported certain steel plant, machinery from the Russia. So, and in terms of an MOU, the background I gave you, so diversification is the name of the game. I think Pankaj mentioned very well that Australia dominance and the challenges. So I think diversification is, of course, and the Russia exploring is a very good option. I mean, the Steel Ministry's thought process, we have a very balanced and forward-thinking steel minister, and not just the Russia, he is also importing perhaps Mongolia. So those experiences, will take us our dependency from one sector and also diversify our risk. So coking coal is mainly being imported from Australia. So JSW is trying to source the same from alternate countries as well. So Russia are already doing and making to perhaps looking for the further enhancement. And we have engaged, we have post our trip also. We met people when the finance ministers hosted a dinner for us. Couple of people joined from Russia, and those suppliers, we engaged with them. And for example, KRU, we are in touch with them, and we are in an advanced stage. So we are discussing the suppliers, and of course, our engagement at this point of time is limited to anthracite, Corex coal, and PCI coal. But we are in touch with them as well. And coming to your next question, that what kind of the challenges you are seeing. So the logistics, yes. I think you mentioned well. So logistic cost of ferrying coal within Russia is extremely high, and the rail network needs to be strengthened to facilitate the movement of coal from east side of the country to the west side and vice versa. So the average distance to be traveled by rail is over 2,500 kilometers. So rail constraints is Far East ports. It's leading to the higher cost inventory and the longer voyage time from the west coast of Russia. So that challenge, seasonal impact is also their factor, because over a 5 month is a harsh winter season in Russia, and we are procuring from Russia for 7 months. Then the next 5 months, we have to look for alternate sources. So, but geopolitical challenge is this: China-Australia trade tension have restricted terms deal with the Russian suppliers, because they are getting better deal there. And we were looking the long-term possibility, because that's the future, because otherwise the prevailing prices cannot be sustained for a long time. The cost of ferrying across the Baltic Sea is also quite high, so the fewer vessels available for the round trip to this reason. And of course, the language barrier is definitely a huge barrier. So although we are managing it, now we have options to deal with that, but those are the challenges in terms of So these are some of my thoughts.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gajendra ji. Moving to Mr. Arunesh Bharti, hello to you. I know it's been a last minute, you had to join the program, but moving ahead, I would like to ask you the similar question, and I would like to add one more question. With this, I would be happy if you could answer from the JSPL perspective. What is the current status of trade and investment of JSPL with Russian companies, main products or services which you are importing from Russia, and the coking coal, requirements and the grades which you are looking from Russia? What challenges do you feel dealing with Russian companies? And adding the one more question: what is the support you are looking from the government of India in collaborating with Russian companies or institute? Arunesh ji, over to you.
Thank you, Monica ji. Thanks a lot for holding this kind of seminar, which is very apt, particularly when a time that Indian steel industry is on a cusp of going for orbital change, from the 150 million ton to 300 million ton steel capacity, and after having a good steel cycle, all of us are embarking on the new capacity addition. And coking coal, met coal, PCI, anthracite is one of the area which is always a concern for us, steel industry as a whole, because we are fully dependent on the imported one. Though of late JSPL has started, coal gasification plant by utilizing, the locally Swadeshi coal, But yes, industry as a whole is scouting for the raw material, met coal, PCI. And that's where Russians are, that's very important for us strategically, because 80% or 90% of the met coal we are importing from Australia, and we have got on risk to share. Like sometime it may be fire in the forest, or sometime in a port congestion, sometime in a weather situation. So we are facing with price arbitrage in terms of cost, and also supply arbitrage. So for a stronger steel industry in India, we have to have a developed, alternate source like Russia, all-weather friend. And I would like to thank you, Ministry of Steel, that they have supported the government-to-government dialogue, and they have fostered to keep the industry together in one platform by way of signing the MOU. So I would like to go forward, like Russia is an important partner for us. And we at JSPL are open-minded that way, and we have started off, business with Russians. And in FY21, we have imported around 1.1 million ton of PCI and anthracite. And this financial year, we are targeting to increase our volume to 2 million tons. And moving forward, as our capacity will be going further go up, so we'll be planned to import more and more from their side. So as of now, what challenges what we are facing here? So we are concerned that from the mines to the port, I would say from the mines to the eastern port, from the mines to the western port. So they have to travel 4,000 kilometers, right? So that's the kind of number which is adding to the cost of to the miners. And we are also apprehensive that how the weather will play in between. So once we are talking about some supplier, we are looking for a continuity of the supply, as Australia is offering to a certain extent. So we would also look forward to Russia as a continuous source of raw material for us. So what we are talking here, 3-4 ports in the eastern side, which is Vladivostok, Nakodka, and Vostovany. So these ports are always the smaller ports, right? They will not be able to take the bigger vessels, which is otherwise required by us for the sake of lower freight. In the eastern coast side, in the western coast side through the Black Sea, we have got 2 ports as of now. One is Tawang and the other is Astaluga. So those ports are also not developed. And, sometime it may happen in the winter season and all that the western side of it will be having some trouble because of, the ice and all. So we need to have a supply line from the Black Sea route as well, so that there should be a continuity of the supply, particularly the which is located in the western part of the world, as well as eastern part of the country. So that's how the things are. No doubt about it that, government can play a very important role in this. In the last meeting in the Moscow, we had a discussion with the government authority that the 4,000 kilometer what we are talking here, inland transportation from mines to port, how they can subsidize it, so that the miners cannot feel the heat of the cost of the transportation, and they can give us a confidence that okay, we'll be all-weather supplier to Indian companies and also to the JSPL. So wherein the government should chime in. I think from Indian side of it, Indian government, they have done their part, and it is up to the Russian government to give the kind of, I'm not sure that particular subsidy, freight subsidy and all this thing was discussed in the last meeting in Moscow, but I'm not sure that it was implemented or not. So that's how, so what we, number one is the kind of cost of landing. We would like to the cheaper cost, a competitive one actually. Second one is that the all-weather supplier to Indians. Third one is that they should be opening stockyard. They should be partnering with some global traders or Russian traders, so that they can make available the coking coal, anthracite, PCI altogether in a CFR basis, and that will be easier for us to take it and and use it in the plant. Second point is that if they can open a stockyard in the eastern coast as well as in the western coast of India. I mean to say the eastern coast would be most preferred to start with, because a lot of steel players are there, and they can sell the material easily. So we will be having a supply assurance that okay, this stocks are lying there, and they can replenish the stocks. So that will give us a confidence as a steel industry that Russians are there to support us an all-weather front. So that's how government can support us in this. And I think Russians has to impress their government, and they have to take it forward.
Thank you so much, Arunesh. With this, I'm raising our second poll question, audience, on your screen. So my next question is, what are the areas where Indian steel industry is lacking the most? You have got 4 options on your screen. First is high energy and raw material consumption. Second is lower productivity. The third option is high manpower cost. And fourth option is all of the above. Which are the areas where Indian steel industry is lacking the most? And people watching on YouTube, please start commenting. I can see some names are already reflecting. Like we have comments from Meher, Kuchi Mani, Utkarsh P. Singh, Abhish R, Nakul Shaw, Vikrant Kumar, TC Chakrabarti. And we have viewers on GoToWebinar as well. So meanwhile, you are voting. I am taking the privilege to take your names. Please vote very, very quickly. What are the areas where Indian steel industry is lacking the most? High energy and raw material consumption, lower productivity, high manpower cost, and all of the above. I'm closing down the poll now. And the result is on your screen. So the result says 59% of our audience feels that it is high energy and raw material consumption. And second majority goes 24% to all of the above. 16% go to lower productivity. So majority says it's high energy and raw material consumption. So I would like to raise one question to this question I will be asking from Dr. Mukesh. This has come from Mr. Sujit Kumar Haldar. He's asking, is there any issue on quality or compatibility with Australian or Indian coal in the blend, sir? Dr. Mukesh.
No, if you see there are 2 different type of coal are there. One is the hard coking coal. Another is the soft coking coal, what we are buying from Australia and other things. And third is your PCI coal. So in most of the Indian steel industry, like JSW, Tata Steel, JSPL, they have switched over to a new coal making technology, that is stamp charge batteries. Whereas RINL, SAIL are still continuing with your top charge batteries. And whatever they have done, because they generally depend on RINL and SAIL mostly, they depend mainly on the hard coking coal. And when they are buying soft coking coal, some trials they have made ki how much coal can be mixed there, and they are finding around 10%, 15% can be mixed, but maximum it can go to around 20%, 25%. So that is the thing. But when we are there on the Russian side right now, whatever offer we are getting mainly on the soft coking coal or on the PCI coking coal. Because if you see around world, where is the world trend is there? The trend is to minimize coking coal consumption and to increase PCI coal consumption, because overall coal rate remains around 450 to 500. So when these 2 things are there, but if you see Russia is one of the largest supplier of the PCI coking coal across the world, but we are not buying. Even if we can meet, because the trend is going towards this thing, we are changing to have lot of PCI coal from Russia that we have not tapped and we can tap. But as far as this thing is concerned, where stamp charge battery is there and other thing is there, lot of opportunities are there, and we can increase our blend to even 30% to 40% also. That it will not be an issue. So practically
Right,
I can say RINL and SAIL, yes, we have some limitation. But as far as the JSW, Tata and JSPL, they are concerned, because they have a different coal making technology. So it won't be a much big problem.
So we have a question for Tata Steel, JSW and JSPL from Devabrata Majumdar. He is asking, will Tata Steel, JSPL and JSW looking for optimizing of coke consumption using artificial intelligence, AI, So we will start from Pankaj ji, then Gajendra ji, then Arunesh.
So AI and others are tools to know the consumption and what way you can minimize or reduce the wasteful expenditure. So that's way. I mean, both Jamshedpur and Kalinganagar, they are Industry Vision 4.0 certified by WEF Lighthouse Tower, and we have done many such initiatives across the value chain to see how we can optimize and maximize the resource efficiency. So that way it is there, but then blast furnace and others, they will go by their own requirement of particular blend. And as Dr. Mukesh was saying that it's not exactly one type of coal, it is a blend of coal which on the value term optimizes which coal you want to use. So just to give you one parameter, like if you say the phosphorus or sulfur in Australia, it is less than 1% and phosphorus is 0.05 to 0.1%. If you go to US, phosphorus goes further low, it's 0.01 to 0.05. Similarly, the other parameters of ash, it varies, and fluidity. There are different other parameters which a blast furnace person would like to optimize by blending different grades of ore, seeing the cost parameters also. So we do that also, and use of AI and other are now in, and we are not only using on this aspect, but across the value chain we are using.
Right,
Thank
sir. Gajendra ji, what is your view on this question?
Well, I'm not having a lot of up-to-date information on this, but one thing I can say, being a technology company, very technology savvy promoter we have, and we bang on the technology. So some of the things which, in my knowledge, is like we are, today we are taking our stocks through the drone. We have the mines which is 100% sensor based and total automated. Our mine sampling happens through automatic. So a couple of initiatives. So actually, I'm not very well up to date on this aspect. But one thing I can count on you that perhaps if we are not the market leader, maybe we are almost behind the market leader in terms of rolling out technology and in terms of whether it's for the safety. Because I personally have visited the plants and seen that the autonomous measures has been taken. Everything is controlled by the sensors, and the people is monitoring things from the screen. But and
Right,
we are probably the first one when it comes to the mine safety and autonomous implementation of the technology in terms of. And we were given the award by the FIMI for that kind of a thing.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Great.
So might be, I'm not the right person to comment, but then when it comes to the rolling out, then JSW is not far behind, that I can assume.
Right, sir. We agree with you. Arunesh, if you'd like to comment on this, on AI at JSPL plants.
JSPL, as you know, that we always experiment not only the cost leadership, also how we can reduce the carbon footprint. In that quest, we have installed India's largest blast furnace. Kind of as per design that is having the lowest coke rate as of now. We are also doing a lot of coal injections and other energy conservation, and so that's the quest what we are actually chasing, and that's the journey. Of course, AI is the buzzword as of now, so everybody is talking about, and in fact, our horizon is much broader than AI alone. That's the reason we have installed the coal gasification, wherein will not be importing any met coal, in fact. And so to speak, we have got a simulation model in place, wherein we are experimenting, with the different blends together, and how we can save the coking coal rate into the blast furnace. And we are also utilizing the flue gases and all by way of recovery turbine, so that that will give us an overall cost benefit. So that's how we are actually doing. Of course, AI is one of the tool. In fact, we have just implemented the Internet of Things, IoT, in every energy department, and so that's the way we are actually going forward. And that's not the end of the journey. We are still talking to a lot of Dr. Mukesh is here. We always have a kind of rich discussion in this regard. And we always, always hunt for the new technology wherein we can reduce the coking coal or carbon footprint, so to speak, important of steel making. So that's the quest. Is an ever-ending journey, and we are actually progressing slowly and gradually.
Right. Rasika
Monica,
ma'am,
I
you're
just
there?
wanted to add, Monica,
Yeah.
I wanted to add one
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
When we are talking artificial intelligence or supervisory control in terms of the coal blending and other things, because when we will be diversifying our various sources, like we will be having from Russia, we will be having from Australia, we will be having some Indian local coking coal. Definitely doing these things, blending to meet my blast furnace requirement will be very, very difficult. Ultimately, we have to move towards some type of a supervisory control type of system, automatically system, it should take care. Like recently, I'm just giving you an example, in Ministry of Steel has taken initiative in developing a such type of a program. And SAIL was one of our partner, where the coal was coming from more than 9 to 10 sources. And we wanted that real-time analysis is available for all the coal, which is available there. And based on the real-time analysis, which coal to be taken, how much to be taken, how much percentage to be taken, depending upon the fuel blast furnace requirement, automatically gets controlled there, so that manual interventions are avoided. So when we are doing these type of things, in time to come, when our number of sources and number of suppliers are increasing, definitely we have to go for these type of line, whether you can call it as artificial intelligence, you can call it as a supervisory control, you can say the level 3 controls, and all those things will be required. Without that, it will be very, very difficult to control these type of things.
Absolutely, sir. Rasika ma'am, you're there, and Akhil Prakash ji, Akhil ji, can you unmute yourself? So, yeah, are you able to hear me? Akhil ji, I'm not able to hear you. And Rasika ma'am, I see that you are online. If you could open your webcam. So I've got one question from Mr. Shankar Raman. So he is asking, going beyond coal and coke, where does Russian technology stand in area such as gasification of coal? This is Professor Raman from NIT Trichy. So
Monica, I think madam is not there. Can I pitch in?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. As far as the coal gasification is concerned, whether we are having a surface coal gasification or we are having a underground coal gasification. If you see, one of the oldest plant, first plant on underground coal gasification was put up in Russia only. And that they have done a lot of work on underground coal gasification, because we are also trying to see where we can go for underground coal gasification. But as far as the surface coal gasification are concerned, they have also done a lot of work, but they are not, because no plant could come up in not only in India, but other part of the world other than China. Because if you see the total gasifier, more than 80 to 85% of the gasifiers are operating in China. And that's why this technology of coal gasification more have been engineered by Chinese than by anything else. Otherwise, some institutes are there, like Gas Technology Institute is there in USA, Sasol is there, the Energy Research Center is there in Netherlands. They are working on gasification project, but since gasification is not picking up, because it has inherent disadvantage, like when we are going for coal gasification, a large amount of carbon dioxide gas is generated. Since the pressure is there on global warming and climate, this thing, a lot of pressure is coming. So that's why this thing is, unless some carbon capture and other things comes, that's why it is not picking up. In India also, we have made a target that 100 million ton of coal we want to do gasification, but high ash coal is becoming a bottleneck for us also. So as far as Russia is concerned, Russia definitely will be very, very helpful in supporting us in our mission towards underground coal gasification, or we can say in situ coal gasification mainly, because they have a lot of rich experience in this line.
Anyone else like to add to Dr. Mukesh?
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Mukesh. Russians are one of them. They are the one who started this actually. Other than Chinese and South Africans and all. I would also like to state here that coal gasification doesn't emit the larger amount of CO2. Rather, we have a possibility to convert the methane to hydrogen and CO, carbon monoxide, and was having a great calorific value, and which can go into the downstream industry for making steel, as we are doing here in JSPL and other part of the other part of the industry. What we are saying here, if you see this India's current account deficit, it's almost $64 billion in the last financial year, and put together the oil import bill as well as coking coal bill is in excess of $250 billion, right? If we'll be having a third largest world reserve of coal, and if we'll be doing the 25% of the gasification as told by Dr. Mukesh, 150 million of it, so we'll be able to utilize those gases not only for steel making, also to methanol production, paint production, different kind of hydrocarbon, inorganic product productions, and to certain extent we'll be able to cut down the the import bill of oil and gases. We'll be self-reliant as far as fertilizers is concerned. So all in all, we'll be able to become export surplus country, and that particular money can be utilized for the betterment of the society, the remote areas where the mines are being operated. So you can see the wonders what coal can be can do for the Indian economy. So that's where we are looking for, and Government of India is kind enough that they have identified this particular area, and they are putting a lot of on it.
Absolutely. So I'm raising our next poll question to our audience. Audience on your screen. The question is, rate Indian iron ore and coal beneficiation technologies. You have 4 options: 100% perfect, or 75 to 99% almost perfect, needs slight improvement, 50 to 75% kaam chalao, just workable, or 50% or below, which means jugaad, urgent need for technology upgrades. So rate Indian iron ore and coal beneficiation technologies. Is it 100% perfect, 75 to 99% almost perfect with slight improvements required, 50 to 75% just workable, or below 50%, which is jugaad, urgent need for technology upgradation? Meanwhile, since all of you are voting, let me share some names who are with us and raising so many questions. We have Amit Gaur, Debabrata Majumdar, Satyendra Chadha, Sujit Kumar Haldar. They're putting up many questions which I will be taking. Then Vikrant Kumar on YouTube, Akshay Mehta, Tarun Chatterjee, and in attendees we have Vinod Gupta, Vinod Kumar, YS Bedi, YV Reddy. Okay, so I'm closing down the poll. We have got the maximum results. So when we talk about the rating of Indian iron ore and coal beneficiation, the maximum voting has gone to 43%, which is 50 to 75% kaam chalao, just workable. So that is a rating of our iron ore and coal beneficiation. Just workable, kaam chalao, 50 to 75% only. And second highest has gone to almost perfect, with needing slight improvement. Sir, इसके ऊपर कुछ comment करिए, please, because I thought personally that we are pretty good with the beneficiation, but looking at the result, the majority is going to 50 to 75% ही काम चल रहा है अपना beneficiation technologies को लेके.
Yeah. Monica, let me start this thing, then I will seek a point views of Satija ji and others also. But one thing you must realize, what is our background? Indian background. Indian background is because most of the mines we were operating, those mines were very, very rich in iron ore, having plus 65%, 66% grade of iron. And still today also we are having most of the mines there, so which does not need this type of material, is generally considered as fit for feeding, directly feeding to the blast furnace. And that's why a need for iron ore beneficiation was not felt when we were handling this type of things. But things started when the grade was started reducing, because if you see in India, less than 60% ore, around 60 to 62% grade ore was considered as a low grade ore. Whereas in Australia, Russia, Brazil, and other places, if you see, their average is around 48%, 50%, like that. So that's why most of the technology, whether it is a dense media separation, whether it is a flotation technology, whether it is a magnetic technology, all those technologies have been developed in that part, because in our country, that thing was not there. But nowadays, since most of the mines grade have started deteriorating, alumina and silica content have started increasing. Every company, whether it is JSPL, whether it is Tata, whether SAIL, whether RINL, now they are bringing focus on implementation of iron ore beneficiation plant, so that advanced technology can be brought in. Even we are also now exploring adopting technology like dense media separation, which is not there in India at all, which are operating in countries like South Africa, in Australia, in China, and other places also. So there was, I can say, yes, right now under the present circumstances, I agree with the polling vote. It is just like a kam chalao this thing. If we look into the lower grade of ore, means when it is 53%, 54% iron ore is considered, yes, it is a kam chalao. But in other grade, where mines are operating, because there was no necessity, that's why it was not, and it could not come to that level where it was there in South Africa, Australia, or Russia.
सर
Satija ji can
यही
throw
क्वेश्चन
more light.
मैं सतीजा जी से लेना चाहती हूँ.
Yes,
सतीजा
yes.
जी, ये क्या हो गया? मतलब ये तो रिजल्ट एकदम कहते हैं ना, माहौल ही बदल गया.
No,
कल
so
से.
what Dr. Mukesh has told, it is very right. Necessity is the mother of invention. Avashyakta aviskar ki janni hai. So what has happened in India, we need to understand with the context of what Dr. Mukesh was mentioning about Brazil, South Africa, and other iron ore destination, and I'll come to China also. So in India, iron ore, what Dr. Mukesh was saying, direct fit to plant ore, they call it DSO, direct shipping ore. So most of the Indian iron ores were direct shipping ore. You need minimal beneficiation, screening and crushing, and it was fed. And that was also applicable to steel makers also. So initial periods, lumps were in the high requirement. And as you know, iron ore formation, the hard rock is on the top because it has seen the weathering of different years. And once you mine the hard ore and you go deeper, you will start getting other type of ore like blue dust or ore with certain dilutions. So as iron ore mining has moved from lumps to fines, steel makers have also moved from sintering to pelletization. There are 3-4 issues here which I'd like to highlight. One is that eastern part deposit where the alumina is very finely ingrained in lattice, and there's a separation at the finer fractions require much more beneficiation and grinding. And similarly, most of the eastern part in India, we are linked to steel plant, and as such, the concept of export of iron ore from those mines were not there, and the plant were getting those material which mine can serve, either SAIL or Tata Steel or most of the plant. But if you see the Goan mining industry, they had low Fe content, say 59, 60, compared to Chhattisgarh 65, 67, or Eastern India also 65. Plus, the customer for the Goan mining industry were primarily Japanese. And disadvantage in Goan mining was that they were having only 100 hectares lease. So they started this common boundary mining, collaborating with the neighboring mines. And one of the mine, after verification or after excavation, used to be a pit for tailings or whatever you are getting out of the beneficiation. So that helped them. They gone into certain collaborations, and they were the initial ones who went for ultra fines plant using magnetic separator and other things, which came into eastern part at a much later stage. So 3-4 things which I'd like to mention. One is the beneficiability of the ore is different in India also from the eastern, western, and the central regions. Second, the customer requirement also drives them to invent and go for further innovation. And thirdly, the size of the deposit also helps. If you have a smaller size of the deposit, where he will mine, where he'll put the beneficiation plant, where he'll put the slime dam. So you need a good deposit which Goan can do this with the collaboration. Now in China, we have 4 types of grade. Grade up to 10-15% is also beneficiated. and because it is beneficiable, and that's why the overall cost comes somewhere around $80. And if you see, most of the time the iron ore prices, they hover around $80 to $100. It is because of them, because they draw the maximum ore. And by and large, the iron ore prices has been very flat since independence, 2002 and 2000. Some period, 8 period, we saw a big steep. Then again, recently we have seen there was a shortage of supply of the Brazil Dam incident. So type of the deposit has a bigger role. Brazil and others, they are working on magnetite. In India, magnetite deposit, one was there in Kudramukh. Unfortunately, that is closed. And majority of the mines in Indian iron ore industry is hematite. So we are as such getting good ore, and as we are getting leaner ore, we are going for the beneficiation. So it is like a gradual journey.
That open the scope of getting beneficiation technology from outside. Akhil ji, are you able to hear me? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, madam, I'm able to hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank God. Now we are able to hear you.
I'm sorry.
So there are a lot of people, who are asking us a question that what kind of technologies we can import or we can, collaborate with Russian companies. If you like to give a highlight.
Yeah, madam, first of all, I would like to share TESNICHERMET is an institute which was formed in 1944. And there is a very big history of our institute. And initially, mostly the Indian metallurgical plants were getting technologies from Russia. And during these years, during past 10, 15 years, Russians have developed very good new technologies. And one of them, which is to be highlighted here on your platform, is the usage of cooking coal in the blast furnace. At one of the blast furnaces in Lipsk, at the company NLMK, they have achieved around 260, 280 kilograms of cooking coal while making 1 ton of cast iron. So this is a kind of achievement which Russians have, and TESNICHERMET is ready to share this knowledge for our Indian metallurgical plants. So this is one of the very key features which I understand should be utilized for all the companies in India which are using the technology of blast furnace. This is one of the very important and useful technology. This is one thing. Apart from this, because Russia basically has got a very big temperature vibration from about +40 to -40 and sometimes even -100. So because of that, the Russian technologies are very advanced to enhance the temperature range. And there are many more other technologies. We have received a wish list from the Indian steel manufacturers, and we are replying. We are in continuation with dialogue with all steel companies from India. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Akhilji. Akhilji, I like to ask one more thing. Like we have this question from Mr. Shiva Kumar. He's asking, will the small manufacturers get any benefit from Indo-Russia, MOM? So if you could explain that, is it only for the big companies or small manufacturers can also be benefited?
Madam, we are open. Our institute is open for any small or big. We don't make any difference for this understanding, small or big. Our institute is open for any kind of inquiries, and I can share my email address or however you would like to, or you can get my contact details. You have my contact details, Ms. Monica. You can share with any other company. We don't make any difference, big or small.
That's great. We have got one question from Mr. Sunil Kumar Pandey. He is asking, what is the impact of post-combustion capture of CO2 on existing and new Australian coal-fired power plant? Who would like to answer this? What is the impact of post-combustion capture of CO2 on existing and new Australian coal-fired power plant? So unmute कर लीजिए. Sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
I think he is asking ki if Australian power plants are going to fired with coal and carbon capture technology has to be implemented, what will be the impact? If I have understood his question.
I think so, sir.
Yeah. This one thing is there because carbon dioxide emission, greenhouse gas emission, if you see from the coal-fired sources, is considered as one of the largest. Then steel industry is there. Then second, cement industry is there. I don't think because Australia is planning to go for this thing, but then lot of carbon capture technology, they are working on a various carbon capture technology they are working. Like they are working on how to recover carbon dioxide from the stack gases and convert into methanol. That is the one project they are working. They are working how to capture carbon dioxide and convert into paraxylene. So they are working on those things. So there are number of projects are there, and they have also opportunities to store also in the sea. Like in Victoria side, they are putting up a coal to hydrogen plant. I'm just not going to thermal plant, but they are going for a coal to hydrogen plant. And when they are going from coal to hydrogen, whatever carbon dioxide gases is generated, that is will be used in the offshore in that area only, and that will be done there. So whether carbon capture utilization will come or carbon capture storage will come, the cost will depend on that. But yes, definitely slightly impact will be there. But since carbon capture, storage, and utilization technology, number of technologies are available, I think they will be in a position to compete in the market.
We have one question from Mr. A.K. Chaudhary. He is asking, apart from anthracite, corex, and PCI coals, are there any other raw materials available with Russia which can be utilized in India for steel making? Akhilji, you like to answer? Then we will take it up with our industry panelist.
Madam, I'm not sure which kind of material is needed, but if we will get a list of what is needed, we will be able to give the right kind of answer.
Okay. Pankaj sir?
Yeah, so Russia doesn't have this prime hard coking coal. They are basically semi, and as I mentioned earlier, we need certain blend and certain diversification of risk, which Russian coal are able to supply. Anthracite and PCI are in abundance, but prime hard coking coal is not there. So tier 2 coking coal is there, which can replace some of the coals we are getting from Australia. But there are certain other reports also. Some reports say that by 2027 or 2028, hard coking coal as such will not be there. And as Dr. Mukesh was mentioning about hydrogen and injection of natural gas, this is also one of the area where we are trying to seek answers from Russian technology provider, how we can use natural gas in blast furnace, because they have done in Sevastopol and other plants. So their experience will definitely help us. So it's like a different pathways which will emerge in future.
Yeah. So Arunesh,
Monica,
Gajendra, you have any
Monica,
point to be? Yeah, Dr. Mukesh.
Monica, if you see on the raw material front, because what are the raw materials are required for us? See, raw materials are limestone,
Yes.
dolomite, refractory materials, ferroalloys, and the coal and coke. These are the mainly raw materials which are required for our steel industry. But as far as the Russia is concerned, yes, Russia is having good source for supplying like various refractory materials and various ferroalloys also. But because of the high cost and other things, people were taking up from China and other things, because that is becoming very, very cheaper there, sir. And if required, because what I can say is like limestone and dolomite is there, that if we want to bring it from there, those are low value item are there, sir. That's why we are taking it from the Middle East side, like Oman is there or other countries, Vietnam is there. So those nearby countries only we are buying those things, because the logistic cost from Russia is so high. Buying such type of a low value item may not be advisable also to go there. And when plenty of thing is available in the nearby region only, like as I mentioned, Middle East and other things. So I think still the scope is there for supplying like ferroalloys and refractory material for steel plant industries. So those things may be yes, may be considered from Russia in time to come. Then we
Right,
will
sir.
develop longer relationship.
So, Arunesh Gajenji, you have any point to make, or shall we move ahead with the next question on the raw material front?
To add to the comments of Dr. Mukesh, to start with, of course, PCI, anthracite, and thermal coal is one of the key raw material, wherein we'll seeing a lot of economics to work with. And Russia is also, the country which is powering the whole Europe, and the power cost is very cheaper. So the next material, the prospective material with the ferroalloys, when the power and the availability of the inherent raw material is the key element. And I think moving forward, maybe today, tomorrow, we'll be able to import, ferroalloys from Russia. So that is the very, I would say, imminent potential raw material, what we can see. Moving forward, the limestones and all, once, the supply line will be fully activated and fully developed. So then we'll be able to, reap the benefit of the whole, the supply chain. And I suppose that one day we'll be able to bring in limestone from Russia, maybe the processed form or in the raw form, because of the the investments which will be underway while developing the railway lines and the ports and all those things, with the cooperation of both the government, Indian as well as Russian government.
Right, sir. I'm launching the poll. I see, Gajendra sir, you were having a electricity light issue in your office. So I'm raising the poll question.
Yeah, sorry for that.
Do you think global benchmarking of Indian steel sector would help in performance and competitiveness? Simple options, yes or no. Audience, the question is on your screen, and people watching on YouTube can post their answers in the comment section. Do you think global benchmarking of Indian steel sector would help in performance and competitiveness? I think it's a very simple question. Do you think global benchmarking of Indian steel sector would help in performance and competitiveness? Right, so we have the answers now. I'm closing the poll. The answer on your screen. 96% says yes, and I don't know why 4% said no. So the majority says that yes, global benchmarking will improve Indian steel sector competitiveness and performance. Moving ahead, so I don't know, Rasika ma'am, if you're there, I would like to raise one question to you. Otherwise, I can take it up with the my fellow panelists. I would like to understand, since so many discussions are taking place with India and Russia, is there any time frame for this collaboration we are looking for? As in, there has to be some time frame, right? When we talk about whether it is for steel making coal or steel technologies. So is there any timeline you all have in mind, as in by when we should start seeing the results?
Monica, I have to,
yeah.
Can I take up this question?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I was thinking, sooner is the better, but I will say that post our discussion and this MOU, etc., the engagement have already started. And, we have reached out, Akhil ji is here with IP Bardin, and, we have exchanged the questionnaire, etc., which is being filled. And perhaps eventually we will move into the MOU in some time. And on the similar line, we have also reached out to various coal suppliers, giving our requirement and working on it. There is a 4% alkaline content in the Russian coal, so we will be little careful, but we are engaging that. So we have already received some coal samples and things are underway. So when it comes to the specific questions, but apart from that, I would like to give you a little bit, the brief about this. So JSW is producing high strength, structural steel for various application in automotive and infrastructure segment. However, our presence, is limited in marine and defense application. So there is a specific grades which is needed to meet various requirement, suitability, etc. in certain strategic sectors. So, we can, some of the advanced technologies from Russia, we can, look to explore, and we are already engaging in, like producing high strength steel. Akhilji was mentioning some natural gas in blast furnace. We will look forward to that. Hydrogen in steel making is an area where talk is going on everywhere. The whole world
सर
is
कितना
exploring
टाइम
it.
लग सकता है सर? If we talk about a number, कितना टाइम आप देखते हैं कि this thing should get through, because the MAU has already been signed. So by when we will be able to really see things are moving? And what is your expectation?
Expectation, I will say in a month, not the years. Maybe a couple of months post our engagement, but I feel that maybe a quarter onwards we will see some concrete movement and results, etc. We can expect.
Right.
Monica,
Pankaj,
just
you-
time frame. Yeah.
Monica, just to
Yeah.
support Mr. Gajendra Singh point, because after their return from Russia, work was already started. And just I wanted to inform you, like SAIL, today they are holding final discussion with Russian parties to finalize their shipment of coal between January to March itself. Ji. Forget about month and years together. Ji. Similarly,
So
they
this
are
is very
holding.
quick.
They are very quick, and I think first shipment of around 80,000 ton of coal will be received, I think, in the first quarter of the this thing only, early January, February. Then they are finalizing court other things also, how they will have long term this thing. Three more parties from Russia are coming in next 1 week time. So just you can see how fast they are doing. Similarly,
So
RINL
is it that they were already dealing with these parties, or it is a first time shipment which SAIL is doing with Russia now after the visit?
they will be doing for the first time. Last 3 years, SAIL or RINL has not purchased anything from Russia, and this will be for the first time when they will be buying this coal, because although discussions were going on, but things were not there. But when they went there, these discussions have encouraged them to come forward and to start discussing whatever commercial, any dispute is there, to sort out those things. Now a framework is there, and under framework and some backup is there from the government side also. So that's why supplier side also, as well as from the buyer side also, both are very reluctant and see that amicable conditions are reached between the two, and coal supply become started at the earliest possible. So I
So
hope
this is quite a development within 1 month
Yes.
time.
within
Pankaj,
a
sir,
1 month time.
Yeah, so your question has two parts. One is on the supply of coking coal, and second is the technology. So in the first part, as I mentioned, we have been procuring coal from Russia for our Europe operation. And as we have taken trials in our Indian steel plants, and those trials have become successful, there is an upside of coal from Russia. Now, for any such partnership, there are two things. One is the quantity, what they are going to offer, at what price they are going to offer, and what is the predictability and certainty. So there has been an upside from what we have taken, say, last year to this year, and next year also there will be an upside. But see, for every business consideration, some of the companies they buy on long term, some they buy on a spot. So what has been the experience that Russian suppliers have been able to maintain the long term commitment for the quantity what Indian steel makers have. But then there are certain other economic consideration in China where they were getting good price in the last coking coal price hike. So obviously, I mean, any business decision would like to sell more in China where they'll get more money. So as of now, Indian steel makers are asking more and more coal, but Russians have options whether they want to sell it to China or whether they want to sell it to India. So I mean, nothing against them. It's purely business decision, and whenever someone gets profit, he will do so. So, but yes, going forward, there will be upside. More so because most of the steel companies in India, they have gone for expansion. They have their own expansion plan. And in a normal term, as I mentioned, that when the overall trade is 6% of Russia, where in India, it's only 1%. The 5% gap is still there. And going forward, when more and more steel plants will come, there will be more requirement of coal. There is a further reinforcement of getting more and more coal from Russia. Now it depends on Russia that how they want to take it forward. This is my answer for the first question. Second question, the technology, it usually takes time because there are many things which they would like to study before giving a solution. So there will be certain samples which they would like to analyze. There will be various studies they will be carrying out, like physical and mechanical properties of ore, microstructural features of the ore samples, a different processing which they would like to find out, different methods of beneficiation, and then the experimental data on the property of iron ore, how it is embedded in the different lattice structure, and what would be their recommendation. So that cannot happen unless they have studied our iron ore or coal and they have done some test in their plant. And then they will come out with certain recommendation which will be further validated by both the parties. So the first phase where they will take samples maybe around 300 kg and then they will do such studies, that itself will take 8 to 9 months. And then further collaboration on whether it can be commercialized or not. So each such activities had different processes, different gates, and based on that, then the most important question will come: at what price and at what time we want to take. I'll give you one example. All those merchant miners in 2050, they in spite of they trying to do something for beneficiation, they can't do because the timeline for them are only 5 years. So how can a company will go for R&D or such beneficiation when they know what will happen after 5 years? Now, since the leases are auctioned for 50 years, so Indian mining industry also will see some good beneficiation and R&D facilities in days to come.
Right, sir. And in fact, this gives a point that I hope we still Indian companies are clear with what we really need when we talk about the technologies, because it is not only the steel technology we are looking at, we are also looking at mining technology, beneficiation technologies, and then coming on to the coal import from Russia. Arunesh, are you already importing, or now you will be planning to import from Russia?
Well, Monica, we are, as I said earlier, that we are the one who has started this, journey from Russia. Last financial year, FY21, we imported around 1.2 million ton of PCI as well as anthracite. And this time, this financial year, FY22, we have got a target of importing around 2 million ton of PCI as well as anthracite. And I was just talking as a preparatory to this particular seminar, I was talking to my coal people, and they have already imported around 1.3 million ton of PCI and anthracite already in this financial year. So jolly well we can reach to the level of 2 million ton this financial year. And moving forward, we would like to allocate 50% of our requirement of met coal, PCI, and anthracite from Russia. In fact, we can also explore to import thermal core as well if the cost of landing will be competitive. In any case, we are actually importing some of it from our mines. That is given that we are having our own coking coal mines at Australia, Mozambique, and South Africa. But still, we would like to get 50% of our the met coal requirement to Russia. So that's how we have planned, and we would look forward that there will be a continuity in the supply. There should not be any seasonality of the supply, and the supply line. What we are talking here should be giving us raw material in the regular manner at a most competitive rate.
So as we talk about the continuity of the supplies, I hope we will be able to form long-term supply contract with Russia, because वो condition नहीं आना चाहिए जो अभी हमने देखा that the entire raw material shifted to China, and we were just looking at the faces. So anyhow,
Monica, I wanted to add, SAIL and RINL. SAIL and RINL, they are entering into a long-term business.
We are dealing with 2-3 miners there directly. One is one of the big mines is a C1 actually. So we are having a constant relation, and we are giving them back-to-back orders from JSPL. So I don't think that JSPL it is it will be moving forward, and the partnership association will go from here.
I'm raising up next poll question to our audience. Audience, the question is on your screen. What are the opportunities available for improving feed grade of blast furnace? You have got 3 options, very simple options. The question is, what are the opportunities available for improving feed grade of blast furnace? Your first option is iron ore beneficiation and pelletization. Your second option is minimizing center. And your third option is increasing lumps. And it's already been 1.5 hours. There are a lot of people who are still with us, starting from Abhishek Sinha, Ajay Kumar, Vishwanath, Ajay Mathur, Aiden. Then we have A.K. Chaudhary, Amit Gaur, Amit Tyagi, Anand Swaroop, Ananda Mandal, Anil Ahuja, Ankit Khandelwal, Arun K. Padhi, Ashwini Ahuja, Atanu Das, Avinash, B.N. Gupta, Basudev Mishra, Bipin Sharma. So many people are still with us. Brahmananda, Jana, Chaitali, then Chinmoy, Swain. Please vote very, very quickly. And people watching on YouTube, please post your answers in the comment section. What are the opportunities available for improving feed grade of blast furnace? Is it A, iron ore beneficiation and pelletization, or B, minimizing center, or C, increasing lumps? So we are getting comments on Akshay Mehta is saying iron ore beneficiation and pelletization on YouTube. Okay, so I'm closing down the poll now. Answer on your screen. 90% of our audience says iron ore beneficiation and pelletization, whereas 4% says minimizing center and 6% says increasing lumps. So the majority goes with iron ore beneficiation and pelletization. एक क्वेश्चन करना है मुझे, like with hydrocarbon technologies, India is importing a lot of equipments from Russia, assembling भी हो रहा है, and joint venture में there are a lot of equipment is now getting manufactured in India itself. Are we also going to see a similar kind of thing in India for iron and steel sector, like with hydrocarbon technologies? The collaboration is going successful with Russia. Anyone can comment.
So, well, I'll take this question. I'll just about hydrocarbon as well as steel. In steel we are having a capacity of around 145, and we have to reach to 300 million ton, which will be attracting around in excess of $150 billion. And hydrocarbon is still in a very nascent phase in India, and we don't know for sure what is the kind of potential it may offer, and how the how the investments capex will be decided. But I can with my interaction with my Russian friends, I can tell you that Russians are very good at metal handling technology, plant equipments. Some of the the finishing mills, Indian steel producers are are preferring European technology over and above the Russians, because they are yet to upgrade them. So that's where they have to add value to. But yes, as far as metal handling equipments are concerned, different steel plant equipments are concerned, Russians technology is very good. In fact, we have dealt with a lot of metal handling guys, one of crane manufacturing, and we do have one of the state-of-art machine plant in Raipur. So we can collaborate with Russians for transfer of technology, and how we can manufacture those equipment which can be supplied to the expansion project of steel plants in India. So that's why we'll be able to foster the make in India, and we can just collaborate and eradicate the kind of cost inefficiency which may be there if we'll be importing the whole equipment from Russia to India. So we'll be able to foster the local local manufacturing by way of technology transfer, and together we can prosper, and we can supply the made in India product to the augmentation of steel capacity in India. So that's the area wherein we should be looking at as of now.
Right. So, yeah, Pankaj, sir, you want to say
Yeah,
something?
so what I was mentioning that, collaboration with Russia is not new. And there are many such good success stories of steel authority by Russian collaboration. So, for example, Bhilai steel plant, the formal dialogue started in somewhere in 1954. And DPR for the steel plant, mechanization of Rajhara and ore mines, limestone quarry, they all were submitted by Soviet specialists in 1955. And that time, Dr. Inder Prasad, the first president of India, he inaugurated the production in 1959. So Russian collaboration is not new, and it is further being strengthened. Only thing what had happened that space, defense, pharmaceuticals, they have taken the limelight. Now the steel industry is also in people are looking at good image, or they have also come out in last 5 years successfully of all those hurdles, right from IBC to COVID to supplying medical oxygen at the time of crisis. So for good reasons, now we are in news, and that's why collaboration in technology also being talked about. But collaboration with Russia is not new. It has been for a long time.
Right, sir. Akhilji, you're there. Can you unmute yourself? We have a comment which I like to share with you from Mr. A.K. Chaudhary. He's saying
Welcome.
Russia neither have any cost-effective technology nor resources to set up steel plant in our country. Currently, mostly the technology for steel making is in public as well as in private sector has come either from Europe or China. Whereas I like to mention Mr. Chaudhary, abhi Pankaj ji ne just बताया Bhilai and SAIL ka that it has come from Russia. So he is asking, do panelists have any view? First, I want to start with you, Akhilji.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Pankaj ji for appreciating and informing the history, the past history with about the collaboration with Russia. And I think this is not a quite right statement that Russia does not have the technologies. If you just check what is the amount of steel is being exported from Russia and how much even is being imported by India, you can understand the real situations. Having said that, I would also like to add that, as I had already mentioned, that Russian defense equipment, Russian space technologies, and other technologies are worldwide known. So you see, steel is very basic for all these technologies. And if we will not have the technologies, how we can be at that pace as we are? Anyway, I mean, people can have different opinions. So I don't want to contradict, but it is not true.
Monica, I just want to add something what Akhil
Right,
Prakash
sir.
has told. If you see today, who is the lowest producer of steel in the world? Ji? If you see, three countries are their lowest producer: India, Russia, Brazil, and India. Russia is the lowest producer, producing steel at a cost of less than $300 a ton. Ji. Exact speaking, around $289 a ton. Ji. And as far as the technology from Russia is concerned, Russia has matured almost all the technologies. They have expertise in all the areas. Like Satija ji has told, they are using natural gas in blast furnace. They are using coke oven gas in blast furnace. They are making different type of, like Ural Mass is there. They are the only supplier of your pelletization plant across the globe. Ji. But it depends on your marketing strategy. What you have told in the beginning, language may be a barrier, and because of the language barrier, they could not keep pace like other countries, European countries and other companies are doing, and that's why those company has taken lead over that thing. Otherwise, as far as the cost, in my opinion, as far as the cost effectiveness is concerned, Russia is in a position to supply cost effective technology in the iron and steel sector, starting from mining operation to other area. Like Coal India is there. They are buying lot of all the mining equipment from Russia only. Nowadays, Russia has come out with a proposal that they want to give total plant and equipment on lease basis. So they are entering into another area where it will further strengthen bond between India and Russia. So you can't say that, and Russian equipments and Russian equipments regarding reliability and regarding their good compatibility and other things, nobody can question. because whether it is a defense field, whether it is a Indian iron and steel industry, or whether it is any other industry, everywhere those
Right, sir.
equipment have proven worth.
Right, sir. I'm taking up last question and then we will close the session with the final dialogues. This question is from Debabrata Majumdar. He's asking for hydrogen steel, whom to approach, how we technology providers can come in the picture.
Should I take
So
first?
he's saying, whom should we approach?
Yeah, today hydrogen technology, as far as the steel making technology is concerned, it is in a nascent stage, and only SSAB is there who is putting up a plant of 1 ton per hour and trying to develop the technology. If you say that we have to approach for hydrogen technology, we have to wait another for 20 years, 30 years for a commercially proven technology. Right now, whatever hydrogen we are talking in the steel industry, it is only in the laboratory scale, or you can say semi-pilot scales only. So at this moment, answering this question, ki whom we should approach, whether to Russia or whether to America or whether to Australia, it is very, very, very nascent stage at this and premature, in my opinion.
Right, sir. So before we
Satija
close
ji,
the session, I would like
Satija
to
ji,
have
another thing also can give
Satija,
their
sir.
view.
Yeah, Satija, sir.
No, Dr. Mukesh, I already told. So there are different consortium which many companies have made, and they are progressing on that. In India also, different ministries like Mr. Steel, Ministry of MNRE, and Mr. Power also, Niti Ayog, everyone is working on it. There has been certain deliberations also. CEW has also come out with a paper where the new steel plant should be based. So they have come out either on the southern western or somewhere in Telangana, where the RE will be good to produce green hydrogen. So more such developments have happened, and as Dr. Mukesh has told, that it is at nascent stage and slowly it will come out. But what people are saying that what solar was there 10-15 years back, hydrogen is standing today, and the disruption will happen faster, and we will see good results because the focus of the government is there on this issue, and many such startups, ministries, research organization, they all are working on this direction.
Absolutely. So now, before I close the session, I would like to have final, the last remarks from all the panelists, starting from Mr. Akhil Prakash ji. So, do you like to say something before we close, Akhil ji?
First of all, I would like to thank Ms. Monica for organizing this panel and this discussion. I hope it is beneficial to my Indian colleagues. And second, I would like to thank Madam Rasika to joining and giving a very positive opinion about the Indo-Russian relationship. I would like to thank Mr. Satija and other panel members for being here. I hope my presence has helped you in some way, and I'm very welcome all your questions. And from the side of institute, you see there's so many technologies. When you ask me this question, what technologies we can provide, it is this huge big list. So I could not, summarize it in this webinar, but please kindly visit our website or send me emails, and I'm going to try to reply all your queries for the technologies. Thanks.
So to send any kind of communication to Mr. Akhil Prakash, audience, do let me know. You have my email ID with you, and I will share his email ID and contact number with you all. Arunesh, you have any final remark before we close the session?
Thank you, Monica, for holding such webinars, which is really timely, and really the keynote speech by Madam Rasika was encouraging, and we are actually running on the same path for a better collaboration with Russia, our all-weather partnership partners of the past, even and the future as well. And we would look forward for a greater partnership, not only in terms of raw material security for Indian steel industry, but beyond that, beyond the ferroalloys, equipments, and many more which will be falling into the line. So we are absolutely open-minded as far as JSPL is concerned, and we would look forward that there should be kind of replication from their side so that we can take the journey forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arunesh ji. Pankaj sir, you have any points to make before we close?
No, so as I mentioned earlier, that there were certain challenges, inherent challenges the rail logistics, the weather condition, port issues, and sometimes they have to shift to the western port, which increases the distance and the working capital. But in spite of that, the journey has been good. There has been positive developments. Whatever the issues were there, they are trying their level best to overcome those. And I'm sure that going forward, this relationship will strengthen further, and the Indian steelmakers' objective of diversifying the risk will happen.
Thank you so much, Pankaj sir. Dr. Mukesh, your final words, sir.
Yeah, Monica, I think India and Russia is one of the oldest and most reliable friend of India. And whatever we are targeting right now, it will go a long way. In 2011 also, a joint forum working group was formed that is under Indo-Russia Inter-Government Commission on Trade, Economic, Scientific and Technological and Cultural Cooperations. So a lot of projects were identified there. Even one 3 million ton steel plant was planned under Russia and India collaboration through NMDC in Karnataka. But due to some land issues and other things, that project could not come up. With the visit of our Honorable Minister of Steel, our relationship, business is again renewed once again. And we hope whatever we have signed, that we have made a target of around 10 million ton of coking coal import in this year, in next 1 to 2 years, and then reaching it to around 40 million ton, and then sharing with other iron steel technology. And what you mentioned about your joint venture for various equipment manufacturing and other things, those areas slowly and slowly also will be covered there also. And I think in time to come, this relationship will become more and more stronger, and we will have more better relationship between Russia and India in iron and steel sector also.
Thank you, Dr. Mukesh Kumar. With this, I would like to end the session by our fellow, and I would like to thank our fellow panelists, starting from Ms. Rasika Chaube, IS, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Steel, Government of India, Mr. Akhil Prakash, Indian Representative, IP Bardin, Moscow, Dr. Mukesh Kumar, Director, SRTMI, Mr. Arunesh Bharti from Jindal Steel and Power Limited, Mr. Pankaj Satija, Executive Director, Tata Steel Mining Limited, Mr. Gajendra P. Singh, Senior VP and Group Head, Corporate and Regulatory Affairs of JSW Group. I would like to thank our sponsors, starting from Jindal Steel and Power Limited, Arjas Steel and JSW Steel Limited. Viewers, a recorded version of this webinar will be available on our YouTube channel. Please do not miss to subscribe to youtube.com/Metalogic PMS, as well as to get the report. Please subscribe to mymetalogic.com. We will meet again soon with a new webinar. Till then, take care and goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
As a building block in the self-reliant India story, JSPL succeeds when India grows. JSPL, contributing towards self-reliant India, humbly serving the nation.
JSW Steel is aiding growth in building the infrastructure that keeps the nation's heart throbbing. From steel that holds bridges and skyscrapers to steel that builds the railway coursing through the land, JSW Steel is the one name that does it all and stands strong.
As a building block in the self-reliant India story, JSPL succeeds when India grows. JSPL, contributing towards self-reliant India, humbly serving the nation.
JSW Steel is aiding growth in building the infrastructure that keeps the nation's heart throbbing. From steel that holds bridges and skyscrapers to steel that builds the railway coursing through the land, JSW Steel is the one name that does it all and stands strong.
Go to mymetalogic.com. On the top left, click on Subscribe. Click on Subscribe now. You are now on the card page of Metalogic subscription. Quantity refers to number of months. Change it to from 1 to 12. Click on Update card. The subscription amount will be calculated on number of months selected. For 1 month, it is 500 rupees. For 12 months, it is 6,000 rupees. Click on Proceed to check out. Fill the billing details and click on Place Order. Now you can choose your mode of payment. You have just made a right choice. Thank you for subscribing to mymetalogic.com. Go to mymetalogic.com. On the top left, click on Subscribe. Click on Subscribe now. You are now on the card page of Metalogic subscription. Quantity refers to number of months. Change it to from 1 to 12. Click on Update card. The subscription amount will be calculated on number of months selected. For 1 month, it is 500 rupees. For 12 months, it is 6,000 rupees. Click on Proceed to check out. Fill the billing details and click on Place Order. Now you can choose your mode of payment. You have just made a right choice. Thank you for subscribing to mymetalogic.com.